Hello and welcome to our program titled NTMA Members Save with Total Energy Solutions and Procurement. My name is Carrie Shepard, Marketing Analytics Manager for APPI Energy, and I'll be your moderator for today's webcast. Please note that all participant lines are muted. Please submit questions anytime during the session by using the Q&A box on the bottom of your screen. Simply type your question and click the send button next to the box. Our presenter today is Noel Temple with APPI Energy. Joining us as well is James Mayer with NTMA. Welcome, James.
Thanks, Carrie. Good afternoon, everybody. I wanted to take a few minutes to introduce our presenter today, Noel Temple. I was just in Nashville a few weeks ago with Noel and was quite impressed with his knowledge of the energy markets throughout the deregulated states. APPI, or APPI, has been our endorsed energy consultant since 2001, and our program is really taking off. In 2017, we enrolled 8 new members, and last year that number rose to another 12. Yes, they provide electricity and natural gas procurement, but this year they are rolling out the Energy Solutions Division for efficiency projects and improved sustainability. They are starting off regionally in Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Delaware, but we anticipate this to spread across the U.S. soon. Hope you all enjoy the program and look forward to any and all of your feedback. Noel?
Thank you, James, and thank you, Carrie. First of all, I appreciate everybody joining us today and taking time out of your busy schedules to sit in on this. What we're going to do is we're going to try and be as informative as possible and be relatively quick. So let's dive right in. First and foremost, our company, again, as James mentioned, has been partnered with the NTMA for a number of years. I actually started at the company about 3 years ago. But what I love about our company is we are really advisors first and foremost to membership. We're here to help you with anything energy related and answer any questions that you guys might have. So our core competency, as James alluded to, is mainly driving down supplier price and negotiating supply contracts, whether that's electricity or natural gas. But a new initiative that we're taking this year is to really dive into helping members reduce their consumption on an ongoing basis through these efficiency measures. So we'll get into that a little bit later in the presentation, and obviously we'll have some follow-up webinars later this year that have a core focus on that. But as James mentioned, we're also starting on a regional level, but we're constantly looking at various markets across the U.S. that have opportunity for those efficiency measures. So with regards to how we help out membership, every single customer, every single shop that we work with is unique. So we have to look at them in a unique manner, and we're constantly evaluating how those companies are utilizing their energy and if they're efficient in any given way. So as far as taking a look at that specific member, the first thing that we do is we look at that company's unique usage profile and how you're using power, what hours of operation that you guys are open, and what kind of regulatory events are going on in the market that might impact that particular customer. So obviously when we send your information out to bid to negotiate the pricing for you, we send it out to every single supplier in the industry. And I'm sure a lot of you get a lot of calls about energy. There's something like 300 to 400 different suppliers in the industry. And APPI, our role is to identify the suppliers that are reputable, credible, financially sound enough to withstand the changes that go on in the marketplace. So from that list of 300 plus suppliers, our team and our legal counsel has identified the top 41 electric and natural gas suppliers that we feel comfortable enough recommending to our membership that we manage. Because it doesn't do us any good, obviously, to put you with a supplier that 3 months into a contract, they start tweaking the price. We really only want to work with the best of the best, and that's an ongoing process. So the number today is currently 41 suppliers, but potentially throughout the year, we're constantly looking at adding additional suppliers that are competitive, that are credible, and then we constantly evaluate those relationships that we have with suppliers, whether we need to just continue working with them or just changing how those contracts come through. But again, our team is doing that on an ongoing basis, and we put together RFPs, which is requests for pricing, where we bring the best of the best suppliers to the table and have them bid for your business. So a wonderful thing about this program through NTMA is it's of no upfront cost no obligation for membership. So at any point in time, you can give us a call and we'll answer any questions that you have, and we'll even do the bidding for you. We'll send your information out to 10 to 15 different suppliers behind a given utility and have them price out your account, offer different rates, different term lengths, and we make recommendations along with providing detailed cost analysis that would apply to your specific account. And again, that's done through NTMA, through this association at no upfront cost and no obligation to you. So I think the biggest thing with energy is, as all commodities go, it's unique in the sense that the markets are changing every single day. Pricing on a Tuesday at 2 o'clock is completely different by Thursday at 3 o'clock. The markets change every single day. So we help members identify ideal buying windows, and we make recommendations specific to their particular utility, whether how long that you guys want to lock in for based off of what we're seeing in the market, how suppliers are pricing at any given point in time. And we use a lot of data analytics to go to make those recommendations, because it doesn't do us any good to tell you we think it makes sense for you to sign 3 years for 5.5 cents. We have data that actually validates those recommendations that we make. So as I mentioned, we use data. That's a huge part of our company. We actually have a sister company known as the Energy Research Council, which has a pricing database of millions and millions of supplier pricing points. So on an ongoing basis, we can track how suppliers are pricing your particular renewal date, and we tailor our recommendations to that. So every single day, suppliers send this Energy Research Council pricing points that we upload, and then we can obviously tailor those recommendations to your specific account. But the process is pretty simple for our team to get started and taking a look at what we can do for you. A lot of the members that are in these deregulated markets where you have opportunity to shop for your electric and natural gas, all they need to do to get started is provide us a most recent month's utility invoice from each of your accounts, whether that's your distribution utility for electric or natural gas. And then there's a standard letter of authorization that will allow our company to reach out to your distribution utility and access data points, which is what we provide the various suppliers in the industry. I know I mentioned there's 41, but we provide them that type of data. And then our pricing team internally will work with these suppliers to get you a customized price specific to your account, your usage, your rate class, and your load factor. And it's very important to note that we're here working for you. We don't work for the suppliers. We don't work for these utility companies. We put your best interests first because, again, it doesn't do us any good to put you into a contract that you're not happy with. You're going to go back to NTMA and you're going to express this dissatisfaction with our services. So that really holds our feet to the fire, and that's why we work with you first and foremost. Now, here is an example of the deliverable that we put together once we get a copy of your electric bill in that authorization form. So as you can see, we will send your information out to every top supplier that we have behind that given utility, and the suppliers then send in pricing. So the way I like to do it is you'll send us all this information. It takes our team about a week to turn around pricing, but I like to schedule a time and a day the following week that we can get together and discuss what opportunities are available, because markets do change every single day. And because we work so hard with these suppliers to get them as low as possible on price, we really want to present everything to you on a day when you have time to review it. Because if a couple days go by and we haven't reviewed everything, the pricing could change hair up or down just based off a standard market movement. So it's really important, and what we like to do is we like to send it out to every single supplier in that given utility, and we consider this casting a wide net. We like to send it out to suppliers that haven't been competitive in a couple of months, or suppliers that are trying to gobble up market share and win as much business as possible, because you never know when you're going to identify an outlier or a supplier that's coming in considerably lower than the market average. So initially, we will, again, send it out to everybody. Typically, 8 to 15 suppliers will respond to a bid. And then from there, we like to identify the 3 to 5 low bidding suppliers, whether that's Freepoint, Hudson Energy, NextEra Energy, just an example of a few. And then we will have those 3 to 5 low bidders refresh pricing at a later date. And our team at that point will like to work with those 3 to 5 low bidders and give them an opportunity to really roll up their sleeves and sharpen their pencil to hopefully drive them down even further on price. But it's very important to note that I mentioned timing is very crucial, and when you look at that, because markets are dynamic. But with APPI, we like to help our clients get out into the market and look at renewal pricing or look at contract opportunity anywhere from 12 to 18 months in advance of a contract end date. Not to say that you have to do anything at that point in time. It's just a good way to get a gauge of where supplier pricing is specific to your unique account, and it really keeps us in the driver's seat, because what happens is if you wait until too close to a contract expiration, you're exposed to added market volatility, whether that's weather driven or there's spikes in natural gas pricing that might increase the electric market. So as you can see here, this was priced for a September 2019 renewal. This is just a standard proposal that we put together, but we do make notes. It's very important to have this kind of detail in there that differentiates supplier product and offering. So some suppliers will offer standard single billing, which will actually put the supply portion of the charges on your distribution bill. So it cuts down on the number of bills you have to pay each month and really helps out accounts payable teams. And then there's something called swing provisions that suppliers have. So standard, what we ask for is 100% swing, meaning that your machine shop or your business can increase usage 100% based off of the historical threshold that you've used, or decrease 100% without penalty. Because sometimes you'll see a price of 5.5 cents that has a 10% swing provision in it. So if your usage one month increases outside of that norm, suppliers could come after you for a slight penalty and charge you the market-based rate. And then obviously we make notes on how different suppliers bill different things, whether that's gross receipts tax or state sales tax. I know a lot of machine shops I work with are actually state sales tax exempt, and our team makes sure that these suppliers honor your exemption status. And also a huge thing to point out is a lot of times machine shops don't know that they are tax exempt. Our team can help you look into that, and if you are indeed tax exempt and you've been improperly charged these taxes, we'll actually work with the companies to collect up to 2 years back taxes for you. So I know I mentioned that market data is very important to us, and it really goes into our recommendations. Why is now a good time to lock in, and how long should you be locking in for, and how far in advance of a contract you should be shopping. So we like to obviously read about the market every single day and keep track of trends that are occurring in the market. But as you can see here, here's just an example of some of the stuff that we look at every day that goes into those recommendations that we make. This is a chart showing the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland wholesale electric market settlement dating back to 2009. And really the thing to note here is just volatility. You can see that there's some crazy spikes that have occurred in the market dating back to 2009. And one of the biggest drivers of that is market speculation or some uncertainty. So typically you have some seasonal spikes in pricing. That's not too surprising for most businesses. They understand that in winter months and summer months, you might see a run up in pricing. Or if you're on a variable rate with the utility, you might be exposed to that market volatility a little bit more substantially than going into a fixed full requirement price solution that we would recommend. And this major spike that's occurring right here, right around January 2014, was the result of the polar vortex that a lot of companies that were on a variable product at that time were hit with a lot of cost increases. Just because it was so cold for such an extended period of time, it put upward pressure on the market, and suppliers had to pass that through to various end users. A lot of our clients that were on this fixed full requirement product, where your price is fixed for a set period of time, were not impacted by those increases. And then hurricanes do obviously impact the market in some manner, just because a lot of production when a hurricane will hit key areas will be shut down. So obviously the demand starts to go down, or demand will actually increase at that point in time, but supply will be hindered during the period of time where those rigs are coming back online. And then the next chart here, and this one's very important because it's the natural gas wholesale market. We keep track of the NYMEX every single day. If you flip back and forth between the electric and natural gas market, you'll know a really, really close correlation between natural gas pricing and electric pricing. And the main reason for that and why it's so important to keep track of the natural gas market is because it's the last available fuel source that producers go to meet the demand of the energy grid. So obviously, if natural gas pricing is increasing, it's going to put some upward pressure on electric, but it does come with a 1 to 2 week lag. So one thing that a lot of the employees here at APPI like to keep track of, and I would recommend actually writing this down as an easy way to keep track of the markets, is log on to the CME group. They have some great information about daily market settlements as far as natural gas goes, and you can pretty easily see how pricing is towards future start dates. And if you notice a dip in pricing on the CME group's website, typically within a week, you'll start to see certain start dates on the electric side begin to be impacted by those pricing adjustments. And as I alluded to very briefly, we have that close relationship with the Energy Research Council, where obviously millions and millions of pricing points are uploaded into this system. The beautiful thing about that is, obviously, we work with NTMA members all across the United States that are in these deregulated markets, and every market's different. So obviously, the New England territory pricing is totally different there than it is in Texas. So how do we advise these clients on when to lock in? For example, Texas, it might make sense to lock in February, or you might see New England pricing will be elevated for an extended period of time, and it might not make sense to look at opportunity right now. So the Energy Research Council has really allowed our team to figure out what markets have hot opportunity and what businesses have the opportunity at any given point in time to look at some pricing solutions and how that stacks up to the historical price. So here you can see a chart. PECO is an electric utility in Pennsylvania, and it just shows where pricing has trended in the last 24 months. But a unique opportunity that's occurring in the market right now is there's something known as backwardation taking place. So currently, longer terms are actually trading more favorably on the electric side than shorter terms. So you have, when we send these bids out to suppliers, what you're going to see in Pennsylvania and other markets like Illinois, Ohio, and Texas, is those longer terms will be priced at a discount. So you might see a 12-month term come back at 6 cents, whereas the 24, 36, and 48 progressively decrease. And that for a short period of time started to correct itself, but still that opportunity is still there. We're seeing a lot of our larger clients are actually taking positions because of this unique opportunity that backwardation presents. They have already actually locked into 2022, 2023. So they fixed their price per kWh or decatherm, and they've done that for an extended period of time due to this unique opportunity. And obviously that again can be customized specific to your utility. And then here's another example of just the price spread between high and low supplier. I think this is a great indication of why having a company like APPI involved is so important. A lot of the things James and I talked about that I hear from NTMA members that I'm working with is, look, Noel, we're doing this on our own. We send our information out to 3 to 5 suppliers, and we feel like we're getting a great price. Well, that's totally fine, but we encourage you to keep doing that. But obviously, there's 15 to 20 different suppliers that are active in any territory. So if you send it out to 3 to 5 suppliers, you might be handcuffing yourself and only sending it out to suppliers that might be middle of the pack. So having us involved, you can continue to get pricing from the suppliers that you work with. Having us involved, we can send it out to additional options to really supplement the bid for your team. So you see every opportunity out there. And then ultimately, we'll help you evaluate your product that you're getting from those suppliers and make a recommendation on how that stacks up to the fixed full requirement pricing that we're recommending. So again, you might see some weird things in the industry where you have a supplier that hasn't been competitive for 3 or 4 months, and all of a sudden they update their pricing model and they say, I want to win more business in this particular territory. So they'll actually sharpen their pencils, and they might blow out the field of suppliers by a half cent. So there's really that opportunity there that we just want to send it out to everybody so you see everything. And I know this applies to every single NTMA member. This is our Energy Solutions division, and James alluded to this briefly, but For years, our core competency was contract negotiation, price negotiation for customers that were in deregulated markets. But obviously, NTMA has members all across the United States. Many of those markets are not deregulated. So we've talked a lot about how we can help membership across the U.S. so everybody can benefit from this great program. And that's why the Energy Solutions Division is so great. Right now, we're keeping it regional. We're going to focus on the Northeast of the United States. But for example, we're always looking at opportunity currently where territories have opportunity for these programs, whether that's Arizona, Tennessee, or Florida. We're looking at that, and we advise members on where these opportunities are. But just some of the areas that we're helping right now is there's electric utility rebate information, lighting retrofits. LED is huge. That's really an underserved market currently, and there's tremendous opportunity there for members across the United States that are a part of NTMA to look into this to improve, one, the lighting at your facility, as well as decreasing your consumption on a particular month. So the ROI on those is pretty incredible. We do have this separate division for Energy Solutions that we can schedule a call to really dive into that for you and see if it makes sense to explore that. But I actually learned something relatively recently about these programs is typically they say you should reevaluate those every 7 years because the technology that goes behind that is improving so drastically that it might make sense. Even if you've done a project in the last 7 or 8 years, it might make sense to revisit that. And then we do HVAC upgrades as well, and solar projects and facility audits, so we can really track your usage on an ongoing basis. You'll see here demand response. That was relatively big a few years ago. It's starting to decrease a little bit, but the idea behind that is you can curtail your usage on the 5 peak days of the year if you get enrolled in a program like that, and you'll actually get a rebate check for helping out the grid. So that's another thing that we can look into. But one of the important things for a lot of machine shops is you got to make sure that the hours that you're cutting your operation down to really reduce the consumption on those peak days, you're not missing out on the revenue that you could be making if your business was open at that point in time. Here is our team by the numbers. So currently we're working with a little over 2,000 commercial and industrial clients across the United States. And all that speaks to is we're a relatively large energy consulting firm. We have massive purchasing clout. So an NTMA member, you might only shop for power once every 3 years. APPI, we are in the market every single day. We're sending out to the supplier community 400 plus RFPs a month. So they recognize our name. When we send them an opportunity, they're going to be more willing to work with us on negotiating the price for your team. And we talked a little bit about some of the members that we're working with. So currently 57 NTMA members are enrolled in our affinity program. And as James mentioned, 12 new members joined last year. We actually set a pretty steep goal in Nashville. We'd like to bring on 20 additional new members in 2019 and continue to grow the program moving forward. But I think the Energy Solutions Division is going to be huge to do that because it, again, is opening the opportunity for members that aren't in these deregulated markets to really take advantage of everything energy related, to become more efficient and hopefully reduce the bills in an ongoing manner. But similar to NTMA, APPI works with a lot of national trade associations that really do their due diligence of our company. They vet us carefully and ultimately bring us on board to help out membership. So we have 157 other trade associations that have endorsed us. I know a lot of NTMA members are also part of the Precision Metal Forming Association, which happens to be another association that endorses us, or Metal Powder Industries Federation or Metal Treating Institute, just to name a few. So again, I think that speaks to our credibility within the industry, our ethics. We work really hard to put the members' best interests first. And we're obviously always looking out for you and always available for a conversation to educate you on what we're seeing. But again, speaking to our purchasing clout, APPI, we're truly one of the largest and most credible consulting firms in the nation. Currently, we're managing over 10 billion kilowatt hours of electricity for our clients and 18 million decatherms of natural gas we have under management presently. And I know we talked about this briefly, but there's 41 suppliers that currently meet our strict standards and have passed our vetting process that we basically bring to you. It gives you the opportunity to get pricing from all of these suppliers. You're not really limiting yourself. Another unique thing, I know I mentioned this briefly, is, okay, no, we're working with suppliers directly. Again, we encourage you to keep doing that, but the way the supplier industry is set up, there's a handful of suppliers out there of the 41 that we work with that will actually only release pricing to brokers. So just merely by having us involved to keep everybody honest, we could bring you a few additional supplier offers that you might not be seeing otherwise if you're working with them directly. And then I really am proud of this number right here. We've solved almost 900 customer service cases in 2018. So it goes to show that we're there for you for the long haul. We don't want to work with you one time and then we don't disappear. We touch base from time to time, and should something arise, you guys have a business to run. This is what you do every single day. You don't want to deal with the headaches of the energy industry. If a case or a customer service issue arises, we have an in-house, fully staffed customer service team that will look into those issues for you. We'll work with the suppliers on your behalf to ultimately get everything solved to a reasonable manner. So again, almost 900 cases last year that we resolved, whether that's some tax exemption wasn't honored or a bill was missed by the supplier. We're here to help you and obviously let you focus on the business. But again, we're a growing company. We have 42 employees currently. We have a couple regional offices across the United States, and we're looking to add a few more employees this year so we can grow the program, obviously, and help out more members. I know I touched on it briefly, but this is a map of where APPI works. And just to point out, the green states here are deregulated for electricity and natural gas. So those are the states that have the opportunity to shop the rate they pay per kilowatt hour or decatherm on the electric and gas side. The blue states there are the states where it's just gas deregulated. So you can see there's a lot of states in the really Northwest that don't have the opportunity to shop for a competitive supplier. And those are the members that we'll be able to now assist moving forward on the energy solutions package. So we'll be able to help you reduce consumption, improve your efficiency at your facility. So really, this is a national program now that everybody can benefit from. And we'll have some further webinars later this year that'll have a greater focus on the energy solutions. But we're really excited about this program. We look forward to helping as many people as possible. And with that being said, I really appreciate you all taking the time to join us today, taking time out of your busy schedules to sit in on this. I hope you found it informative. And at this point in time, I think we can open it up for questions.
Noel, this is James. I know I'm one of the few that aren't muted, but just as wondering about our member benefits, and so can you answer what the average that our members stand to save using APPI as a member benefit?
Yeah, of course. I'll try to answer that, and I'll tell you, I guess the best way to answer that, James, is every member is unique. For example, there are times where the market dictates what's available out there. So I guess the best way to answer that is we're always going to recommend something that is in the customer's best interest, because a lot of these deregulated markets, they have opportunity to stay with the utility for default electric or natural gas supply. And there's times and instances where the utility is offering better pricing than the fixed full requirement solutions that we recommend. So we take that into consideration in all of our recommendations. And then, for example, there's some markets where it just doesn't allow for cost reduction because the fundamental natures of those markets have changed. That's happening a lot right now in New England, where they're looking across the board to do largely to some congestion issues that they're having. A lot of those members are looking at cost increases. So what we do is we help you limit and manage that as best as possible. But I would say markets like Pennsylvania, Texas, Illinois, you're probably looking at anywhere from 10 to 15% cost reduction on the electric supply. But that's something that we look at in an ongoing manner, and it changes day by day.
Awesome answer. second, and I believe you touched on this, but I just really want to drive this home for the members. What happens if they are in an existing contract?
Right. That's a great question there, and that's probably one of the biggest things we talked about in Nashville. Is a lot of members say, "Okay, Noel, I'm under contract for 2 years. I'm going to look at this 3 months prior to my contract expiration." Our team really takes seriously the layered buying approach. So it's never too early to start shopping. It really keeps you in the driver's seat. So what we like to do is, one, we like to determine when that contract expiration takes place. And then from there, we'll plug that into our system along with the help of the Energy Research Council. We begin tracking how suppliers are pricing that particular customer's renewal date. And we ultimately identify dips in the market, and we'll reach out and alert you, hey, it might make sense to look at layering on 1 to 2 years based off of what we're seeing in the market and how suppliers are offering pricing right now. So that at that point in time, we would gather the invoice needed along with that utility usage request form. We would shop that out to every single supplier behind that given utility. We'd run the numbers, put together a cost analysis reduction, and send that back to you and talk about it. Does it make sense to layer on time now, or should we wait until closer to the expiration? So the best way to answer that is it's never too early to look, and we're here to help you really identify the best time to capitalize on markets.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's all the questions I have. I don't know if you received any through the chat box.
We have no further questions at this time. We would like to thank everybody for participating in our webinar today. A special thank you to James for joining us, as well as our presenter, Noel. This concludes today's program. If you have any further questions, please feel free to contact Noel at his email, ntemple@appenergy.com. You may now disconnect.
Thank you, James and Carrie.
Thank you, Noel.